And coming up, Joe Biden's campaign is pinning all their hopes on a big win in South Carolina this week. But is Biden heading for victory or defeat? Horace Cooper, Scott Bolden, Steve Cortez debate it next.
I've worked like the devil to earn the vote of the African-American community, not just here, but across the country.
We've improved the school system for black and brown students in New York City.
And I come to this with some humility because I'm conscious of the fact that there's 7 white people on this stage talking about racial justice.
Every single policy area in the United States has a gigantic subtext of race. Yeah. I'm the only person on this stage who believes in reparations for slavery.
The issue of race taking center stage at the debate tonight in South Carolina, a state where 60% of the Democrat primary voters are African Americans. Joining me now, Horace Cooper, Project 21 co-chair, Scott Bolden, former D.C. Democratic Party chair, and Steve Cortez, America First national spokesman. Scott, why should black voters support Biden?
Well, he's super qualified, one. Two, he's got the long-term connection with Obama, and whether Obama's walking through that presidential door or not, he's got that connection. He's wrapping himself in it. And Barack Obama was one of the most popular presidents in the history of this country, but super, super popular with African Americans. That doesn't seem like a lot to a lot of people, but that's more than enough because politics and elections are about connecting with people, and they feel that connection with Biden.
Horace, he said he earned their vote in South Carolina. Biden has.
Well, a couple times he said he earned it, and a couple times he said they owed him. He was a little bit confused about it all. What's really clear is I haven't seen anything over the last 4 years that he has done that is particularly helpful to the interests of black America. He goes to the one state with the largest percentage of blacks so far in this lineup and then essentially says you have to decide if I get to go forward or not. And that's what this is really about. Does he get to go forward?
How do you explain why he's, on a national level, as well as South Carolina, he continues to lead in the polls, one, but leading the polls in regard to African Americans?
I think, this is why he kept going back to it every debate.
That's all he's got, though.
Well, every chance he's got. Okay, well, Steve, hold on. I want to get to Steve on this because you look at the numbers tonight, where they are in South Carolina. Biden's still up, but not by as much among African Americans, but still up 10%. Okay, he's up 32 to 22. Sanders is up at 20%. We have a different poll in front of me, but the African American vote is 32%, 22%. Steyer 18, Elizabeth Warren 7. Is this possible at this point that Sanders could somehow jump 10 points and tie him if these polls are accurate among African American voters? This is Biden's in South Carolina to lose, and it has been for some time.
Well, we would assume. But look, is it possible, Laura? I think yes. But this is, I think, the important takeaway, particularly for someone like me who's trying to reelect the president from this debate tonight. Normally, winning presidential messaging is about optimism on America, hope and change, make America great again, morning in America. What we heard described tonight was a racist, dystopian hellscape that America is by all of these candidates. I can't believe how much. I've never seen so much pandering from a bunch of rich elite whites toward minorities as we saw tonight. So whatever happens in South Carolina, they are dooming themselves for the election in November. Because, by the way, the America that they described, one thing that really crossed my mind as an Hispanic, the America they described, why are there millions, tens of millions of people around the world, most of them not white, clamoring to get to this country if we are the apartheid South Africa that they describe?
Yeah, I tweeted that earlier tonight. It was a pretty negative view of things.
Well, but if Donald Trump,
the issue of race, it was very negative.
Well, if Donald Trump is over this dystopian dystopian jurisdiction, well, I remember Donald Trump when he was running for office and he did his RNC speech, and he was very dystopian about the state of America.
Remember where the state of race relations were in October of 2016? Remember where they were when Barack Obama was president?
Well, he was driving that narrative, though. It wasn't
it was Trump.
It wasn't Barack Obama driving that narrative. negative
Wait a second.
narrative.
Hold on. I got to understand this.
Wasn't.
I got to understand. So the good economy now is because of Obama. And when Obama was president and race relations went down at the end of his term, that was because of Trump? God,
It
Trump,
wasn't black
Trump
people
heads, he
driving
wins,
that
tails, he
negative
loses.
narrative. And I didn't say Barack Obama had a great economy. He turned over a great economy to Donald Trump, but he inherited an awful economy from Bush too.
But
so you've got to concede that.
But we had an African-American president for 8 years, right?
And there were a lot of white
America.
And white America, many portions of white
And
America
voted for him.
They did.
Voted for him. If it weren't for those voters, he wouldn't have become
But the
president.
Trump voters hated Barack Obama.
Not because he's black. They didn't like the policy.
Scott,
Wait.
Some of the Trump voters,
It may not have all been racist. Hold on.
Some of the
but there were
Trump
large
voters had
portions of Trump
voted
voters
for Obama before.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I didn't say it was all race-based, but there's segments of his voters that it is race-based.
There was some
It
guy on
is.
Twitter
It's
talking
not
about how
everything.
he and the Klan were supporting Hillary Clinton. That doesn't mean anything.
Scott,
Yeah,
that is
Bernie
demonstrably
Sanders.
No.
Yeah, go ahead,
But watch
Steve.
this.
That is
Hold on.
demonstrably
Look at his
false
rallies.
because that is demonstrably false. The voters who made the difference in the upper Midwest, who switched parties, who either hadn't voted or had voted for Barack Obama and then voted for Donald Trump, for you to call those voters racist is ludicrous and factually
didn't do it. I didn't
not
do that.
true.
I did not do it. I said there was a portion of his supporters that were based on the race.
Okay, there's a portion of Obama's voters who are probably sympathetic to
but we're talking
communist
about Donald
ideas.
Trump.
I mean,
Well,
but
sure.
the point is, you can do that with any group of voters. There's always some bad apples. So that doesn't prove anything. Hold on, guys.
President's
Hold on.
rhetoric.
I'm going to control this panel, unlike the moderators tonight. All right, Steve. Here was Biden tonight on housing.
Right now, if you live in a black neighborhood and you have the same exact house as the guy across the street in the white neighborhood has, your house is valued significantly less than the white. The same exact house. We've got to deal with the institutional racism.
Vice President. Mr. Vice
I know how you cut me off all the time, but I'm not going to be quiet anymore.
I'm not going to be quiet anymore. Okay, Horace. There was a lot of talk about institutional racism in a country like ours, where we have seen historic gains for people across every ethnic and racial line, especially over the past 3 years. I mean, I think you have to say the economy improved under Obama for sure, under that horrible situation he inherited in, and it got somewhat better. But it's gotten a lot better over the past 3 years, and for everyone, thank goodness. But it doesn't sound like it tonight.
What blacks in South Carolina are interested in is how many of them can buy a new car? How many of them are going to get a better job? How many of them are going to be able to do those kinds of things that they've wanted to do? Expand the house, put in a new bathroom. If you offer that as an agenda, you'll get their support. If you tell us that you want to throw all of this out with all of this crazy Democrat socialism, guess what? What you're going to see is some fall off. And there's no one making
those voters aren't going to
Scott, hold on,
do any of
Scott.
that,
I want to ask Steve this. Do you think that the Democrats tonight, who wanted to take out Bernie or hurt him, in this campaign, did they really go at the substance of his ideas, or did they just talk about his electability?
Well, when they talk about how you pay for Medicare for all, they did go to the substance. And when you attack him on his prior support for Cuba and the Sandinistas, that does. You may not think much of it, but I think America still cares about it.
Did Buttigieg ask Steve Cortez? Did Buttigieg, Mr. Smarty Pants, Rhodes Scholar, did he look at Bernie and say, was Fidel Castro a dictator, Bernie? Was he a dictator? No, he didn't ask that question.
Right. Right. No, exactly, because he didn't want to get to the substance. Instead, what did they do? They race baited all night. And I think the reason they did that is they are trying to spread fear among minorities because they don't want to talk about the reality, which is that this economy is thriving for minorities in America right now. It's not just my opinion, it's theirs. 49% economic approval by Gallup among minorities.
Wages are growing across every economic spectrum, including blue-collar and low-wage workers. All the time we have tonight. Shannon Bream, the Fox News at Night team.